Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sixer Sense podcast. I'm your host Lucas with Chris, and we are in the lull of the off season, but we still have plenty to talk to you about tonight, right, Chris?
Yeah, Lucas. Not a ton of Sixers news, but we're going to go through some recent quotes from Tyrese Maxey, talk about the bench a little bit, and then get everyone out the door fairly quickly today. But let's talk first about who takes the last shot for this new look Sixers team. Maxey was basically asked this question, I believe, at a recent workout today. We all saw photos of him working out with LeBron and Jaylen Brown. We'll talk about that later. But this was, I thought, a pretty interesting, revealing quote, Lucas. He said, quote, "I think it depends on what the situation is. You know what I'm saying? I think we have confidence in a lot of different guys. I think people want to say VJ is our fifth option, but last year he took a lot of shots in the clutch. He made a lot of shots in the clutch. There were a couple of times where I got doubled and Joel got doubled, and we had to kick it out to VJ, and he had to make a shot. It's going to be different people. We're going to see how it goes and see how it flows." So I'll pose the question to you, Lucas. A, what do you think of this quote? What's your take on it? And B, who do you see kind of taking the last shot for this Sixers team?
Like I said earlier in the summer, really, I think it does matter matchup, right? Like who's hot, what's the matchup? Like you got Maxey is known as a clutch guy. Jaylen Brown is known as a clutch guy. LeBron, obviously. Joel has hit clutch shots. VJ in his young career has hit some clutch shots before, too. So, like, all these guys are qualified to do it. I really just depends. I think it depends on flow of the game and who has the best matchup for.
Yeah, I mean, look, I tend to agree. We've kind of said the same thing all summer, which is like all these guys are going to have their nights. They're all going to have at least one person, probably multiple people, are going to have a favorable matchup on any given night. Depending on what team it is, it'll be a different guy. Obviously, there will be Joel matchups where there's a bad center that he can just attack. There will be nights when it's Maxey. There'll be nights when JB doesn't have like a stronger wing to hold him back. So I agree with you. I agree with Maxey. It doesn't just have to be one guy taking the shot every time. I do think it's interesting. Most of the, in a lot of situations, it doesn't go how you would draw it up necessarily late in games. The guy that you would want taking that shot, if you have 1 star, 2 stars, that guy's just going to be double teamed and they're going to try to keep the ball out of his hands. It's going to be harder to do that.
Yeah.
With the Sixers, you can't really sell out to stop one guy in these situations, which I think will be quite beneficial for Philadelphia, obviously. LeBron has a ton of experience making clutch shots in his career. I know certain people in the sports media landscape like to call him unclutch. It's just objectively false.
I mean, I was about to say, I remember I was in high school when he hit the shot over the Orlando Magic.
Yeah. So LeBron's been doing this for 2 decades now. I think you can feel very good about him taking a shot late in the game, but we see Maxey be super clutch. I think he was like 7th in clutch player of the year voting last year, which is kind of a fake award, but it speaks to his ability to execute late in games. We know VJ had a lot of big fourth quarters for the Sixers, so JB, you can really feel good about everyone. Even Joel has had his clutch moments. So not it's a good problem to have, I guess, if it's even a problem. I'll go through one more quote here from Maxey Lucas. Quote, "I think the biggest thing is we can't have anybody. Nobody on this team can have an ego. We have 2 guys that have won regular season MVPs, 2 guys that have won finals MVPs, multiple gold medal winners on this team, multiple 25-plus point per game scorers, all-stars, all-NBA. We're all pretty accomplished. So the ego has to drop, and you have to do it collectively." We've heard similar sentiments from Jaylen Brown at his intro press conference. We haven't really heard from LeBron or Joel. I don't think anyone's worried about VJ having an ego in this situation.
Yeah.
But it seems from Maxey's comments, from JB's comments, that everyone is pretty much on the same page. Now, it's easy to say that in the offseason. You have to show it on the court, obviously. But are you worried at all about this team kind of coming together and everyone checking their ego? Or are you fairly bullish that this is going to work out?
Look, let's break it down. Tyrese, selfless guy. We saw it with him and James and Joel. I'm not worried about that. VJ's young, has the same mentality as Maxey. Hasn't had the stardom yet to where he could be selfish, so I'm not worried about that. Jaylen Brown has said Jaylen Brown was one wild card I think me and you were kind of worried about, but Jaylen's presser kind of put that to ease, at least for the moment, right? And look, I mean, he was willing to take a back seat during the regular season to all those other guys on the Celtics when they won that championship. So let's keep that in mind as well. Even when he was younger with like the Drew Holiday, Al Horford teams, Gordon Hayward, right? LeBron's too old to be having an ego at this point. Like, he shouldn't want to be a 20-point per game scorer. He should, just get assists and get rebounds. Attack the basket when you can, but like, don't overexert yourself. And Joel, he has four other guys on the floor, and including Anthony Simons, 5 other guys on the roster that can get you 20 plus points on any given night. Joel does not need to have an ego, because if he doesn't carry the offensive burden like he has for so many years, there's a decent chance he'll be healthy. There's a better chance that he'll be healthy for the playoffs. So it's in everybody's best interest, especially Joel's and LeBron's, not to have an ego in this case.
Yeah, I think Joel is really the most interesting kind of wild card here, if you want to call him that. We've seen Joel, if you want to have like a criticism of him, he has had times in the past where he's, kind of done too much or tried to do too much or felt like he has to do too much. And he's said it straight up to the media on several occasions, like, I don't really have a lot of help and they need me to go out and do everything. And if I don't do everything, we're not going to win. And he's mostly been telling the truth every time.
I was about to say,
obviously, this is obviously a very different setup. So I agree. I don't think Joel is going to come into this with the same approach that he's had in the past. I think he is frankly going to be more than happy to take more of a back seat. I think he's very conscious of his health at this point in his career. I think he wants to play a lot. Mike Gansey, Jameer Nelson, Nick Nurse, those guys have all talked about wanting to get Joel on the floor more this year. So I think that's going to be a real concerted effort to conserve his workload, to limit his minutes, and to just keep him on the floor. And I think if he can kind of coast through the regular season a bit and get to the playoffs healthy, that's the goal. He doesn't have to do everything, like you said. So I think we're on the same page there.
Look, let the young guys cook. You got Tyrese, 25. VJ, 20, right? 2021, right? Jaylen Brown's 28, 29, right? Let these young guys carry the load. You still got Anthony Simons coming off the bench, who's like in his mid-20s, who can score 20 plus points on any given night. Look, I think I said this early on. Joel does not have to average 20 points during the regular season. He does not have to. Now, I think that maybe he wants to get back to that MVP level. I don't want MVP Joel. I want Defensive Player of the Year runner-up Joel. That's the Joel that I want. Whether or not we get that, yet to be determined. I hope that he can buy into that role. If he gets 20 points per game, awesome. But I don't think you need that with this crew.
Yeah, look, I think I don't think either of those are particularly realistic outcome for Joel this season. This is the guy who
Skinny Joel. Anything's possible with Skinny Joel.
Joel, when healthy, is more or less the best scorer in the NBA. Like, he's going to average 20 points. Like, I don't think it's going to be.
I'm just saying he doesn't. I'm not saying that he can't. I'm saying he doesn't need to.
You can very credibly argue, though, that he should be like more of a central point in the offense than Maxey and JB when he's right. Now, whether or not that's what's best for him, I guess, is what you're getting at. I think as long as you limit his minutes and he can kind of flow in and out of these situations and not be asked to do everything, I don't have any question that he's going to average 20 points. He's too dominant. Guys are going to double. Guys are going to foul him. He's going to walk into as many points as he wants with this lineup, especially when everyone's healthy. He could very well lead this team in scoring still. I think that is very much on the table, if not like the most likely outcome. But Yeah, I think as long as he's being conscious of how hard he's working, and as long as the Sixers are being conscious of that, it should all work out. Barring injuries, of course. But it'll be interesting to watch. There's going to be a lot to figure out. They only have 82 games to get everything, get all their ducks in a row before the playoffs. And the East continues to look very, very stacked. We had another big news drop today that we'll talk about regarding the
Yeah.
Cavaliers. But yeah, look, it's kind of hard to not win when you have this much talent. It's whether or not you can win at the absolute highest level and come together to beat a team like the Knicks or the
Yeah.
Thunder or the Spurs, who are just
Hmm.
so well connected and
Yeah.
and on the same page.
Well,
But
yeah. And I'm just gonna say this: having 4 20-point per game scores. Let's not put LeBron in there. I think we can both agree LeBron's probably not going to average 20 points per game.
I don't
But
think VJ will either.
maybe VJ won't. But like to have 4 20-point per game scores in a season, it's only happened once in NBA history. I won't even ask you for the year, but can you guess which franchise?
I would assume it's the Lakers.
It is
Or
the
the
Lakers.
yeah.
69-70. Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, and a guy named Happy Hairston. I don't know who Happy Hairston is, but good for you for averaging 20 points with those other guys. Yeah, look, it's not likely. You know what? VJ probably doesn't average 20 points per game either. Like, it honestly, like, you probably want Maxey and Brown carrying the, offense during the regular season, Joel during the playoffs. But, like, either way, like, I just want everybody healthy. That's it. It doesn't matter to me at the end of the day.
Yeah, I tend to agree. There's a lot of different ways that this can work.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Lucas. Let's talk through the bench a little bit. Let's just do some quick hitting questions here.
Yes.
I'll get your answer and then I'll give mine. Who's the backup center on this team?
Oof, that's a loaded question. There's 3 options. There's 3 realistic options at this point, right? Because I don't think Dean Wade is that. I think Dean Wade's more of a perimeter guy, despite being 6'9", 6'10", right? It's Adem Bona, Ariel Hawkporte, and Dominic Barlow. Let's break down our options here. Adem Bona, probably the best athlete between the 3 of them, right? Super strong, has terrible hands, does not have the best defensive instincts, right? Can catch a lob, but that's about it on offense, right? He sets too many moving screens. It drives me nuts. Ariel Hawkporte, he's the unknown factor here. What we do know is that he was the 3rd string center behind 2 really good centers in Karl Anthony Towns and Mitch Robinson. High energy guy, kind of like a taller version of Bona. Bona's only 6'8". They have him listed at 6'10", but when he was drafted, he was 6'8". Me and you both know that. Hawkporte's like 6'11", 7 foot, so like bigger, solid rebounder, good athlete, can rim protect decently. Doesn't have the best hands though, like Bona. Can't do too much on offense. And then you have Dominic Barlow, can do a proven glue guy for the Sixers last year. Did all the dirty work. Primarily played power forward. Played a little bit hybrid center here and there, but not too much. Has the potential to be a floor spacer if he can get his shot right this offseason. Will yet to be determined, right? Still young guy, right? Like in his early 20s. 6'9", 6'10", right? Not thin, but not like built like most centers, but can rebound actually pretty well for his, position. Still kind of limited offensively, but dirty work screens, set screens, dive, finish around the rim. I think, and I think me and you both are on the same page here. The hope is that Dominic Barlow can become your stretch, your backup 5. While Dembona and Huck have positives in their game, Dembona's kind of a terrible rebounder. Huck fouls a lot. Same thing with Bona. We know what Dominic Barlow can do. The question is, can he do that as a full-time center versus being a power forward?
Yeah. I don't disagree. I think the answer is the Dembona. I think Hawkporte you talk to Knicks fans, they have a lot of very similar complaints about Hukporti that we have about Bona. I think Bona is just a better defender. He's on more of an upswing, I think, in his career. I think there's more potential there if he can kind of clean up a few of the
He can't
more
rebound though.
annoying.
He can't rebound.
He's a fine rebounder. He's not a bad rebounder. I think that's always been more of a collective issue than an individual player issue, as far as elite centers go. But I think the answer is Bona. He's more established here than Hukporti, which I think is important. I think he has. I don't know if he has Nick Nurse's trust, but he has Nick Nurse's familiarity. And they've gone to him the past year or so. He was basically their backup center last year over Andre Drummond for the most part. So I think it will be Bona. I do want to see them try Barlow at the 5. I thought it worked well in the Knicks series. He's obviously less of a rim protector, which can get you into some sticky situations on defense, especially on a team like this without a ton of super high level defenders. So that'll be something they have to, weigh and deal with. But I think it will be Bona. I think Hukporti is quite possibly midseason trade bait when they try to go out and get a better center from someone, but
he could.
We'll
be.
see.
Look, it could be that guy from the big fish from Hawaii, right? Could be him. Who knows?
He's signed overseas, so it won't be him.
Oh, he did. Oh, that's disappointing.
So
I thought he was going to get an Exhibit 10.
No, sorry to burst your bubble, pal.
It's okay.
All right,
it's okay.
Next question. Are Dominic Barlow and Dean Wade redundant? The second part of this question was, can Barlow sneakily win the backup center job, which you kind of touched on already. But
yeah,
do you think Dominic Barlow can break through and be a regular rotation piece on this team with Dean Wade in the building?
Yes, and here's how. Dean Wade was deployed a lot as a small forward for the Cavs. You could go big with your backup front court, right? Or bigger. I mean, big-ish, because Bona's not that tall. But theoretically, you could have, Dean Wade play the 3, Barlow play the 4, Bona play the 5, KCP play the 2, and Simons play the 1. You could theoretically throw out that lineup.
Well, they're not going to throw out all bench lineups.
No, I'm not saying all bench, but you get what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah.
I think that Barlow might be the odd man out in that 5-man group, but that would be my second unit if I'm going into the season right now. Because Phylon, I gotta see. I'm probably gonna have him do some G League run just to see what we can get in full game action. Because you're not gonna get. He's not gonna. I don't think
you're skipping ahead. Don't skip ahead.
Sorry.
Don't talk about anyone else. Barlow and Wade. That's who we're talking about.
I think you can if you want to play Wade at 3. That's how I think you do it. I don't think they're redundant because I think Wade stretches the floor and Barlow doesn't. That's
yeah. Sure. I think it's important to note that Dean Wade does not shoot a lot of threes. He's a very low usage player on offense. He's not someone that the defense is going to sell out to stop.
He's a much better passer than Barlow.
That's true. He's a better player. Wade obviously takes priority. I do think if you play Barlow and Wade together at the 3 and the 4 with Bona or Embiid even, it's kind of hard in today's NBA to play with two guys like that who can't really dribble or shoot that well. That is a very limited duo offensively. Barlow, granted, has been working on his 3-point shot. He seems to be over the elbow thing from last year. Maybe that improves radically, but I don't think it's going to get to the point where he's someone that defenses really pay attention to. So I'm not saying you can't get away with that. I don't think you can get away with it if you're also playing Bona or Hukporti. I think you have to have Embiid in those lineups, and I think you have to have Simons, and you have to have Maxey or LeBron. You have to have two real shooters and playmakers next to them to kind of drive the offense. I think if you try to put 2 non-shooting wings next to Jaylen Brown, it's going to look pretty ugly. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, lineups are important, but my counterpoint would be Wade played with, Jared Allen.
Evan Mobley is so much better offensively than Dominic Barlow and Dean Wade, Lucas.
I get.
And he also played with James Harden, Darius Garland, and
okay. I'm
Donovan
just saying
Mitchell,
that there is a way to make that work.
Goes back to my guards point. You need to have shooting and playmaking on the floor.
Okay, well, let's talk about the guards.
Well, hold on. Who plays the most minutes off the bench this season, Lucas?
That's the real question, right? That's the real question. Probably Dean Wade. The other candidates would be KCP and Anthony Simons, maybe the backup center, but I suspect Dean Wade is. Dean Wade's your first guy coming off the bench, too.
Yeah, obviously, like, if Embiid gets hurt and Bona's starting, that changes the conversation a bit, but even then, I think it's going to be Dean Wade. I think Simons, it could be Simons. I'm maybe banking a little bit on Phylon kind of worming his way into a role, which we can talk about next, but they're going to need all the defense and, like, glue guy skills that they can get in between these, when the starters aren't all on the floor together. That's what Dean Wade is. He's really like the perfect sixth guy for this exact roster because he can guard so many different positions at a high level. He's a good connective passer, like you said. He doesn't need the ball. They're going to really ride on him. I think Nick Nurse is going to really like Dean Wade. I think that's like a Nick Nurse kind of player. So I would suspect that it's Dean Wade as long as the offense isn't like too non-existent. But Simons will also play a lot of minutes. I think they're going to really value his shooting. He's really good. So, next question, Lucas, is can LeBaron Phylon get minutes with Simons as either the sixth or seventh man on this team?
Theoretically, yes, but I think, first off, Nick Nurse doesn't start a young guard unless he really loves him. We don't know what he thinks of LeBaron right now. Said it earlier, I would like to see LeBaron get some run in the G League first, just to see what he looks like against G League competition, see what happens there. But look, we know that Nick Nurse does not like playing a lot of players. That's not his, he usually goes 8, 9 men during the regular season, not usually 10. So my guess would be is that he would just split up the guard minutes between Maxey, VJ, and Anthony. I mean, let's just say Maxey plays 36, VJ plays 34. How many minutes is that left? That's like 28 minutes for Anthony. Yeah, that works. I could see that being the case. I would not want to take too many minutes to give to Phylon. Not saying that you couldn't, but I would always probably want to have either VJ or Maxey on the floor at all times.
Yeah. I don't think Phylon and Simons are going to play together much. We'll see how Phylon's defense looks this year. I don't think it's going to be very good as a rookie who's 175 pounds. I think it can become better over time. So I think the majority of the backup guard minutes will be Simons, if not all of them. So I agree. I like Phylon a lot. I think he's very good. I had him in my top 10. I think he's going to be a good player. It's going to come in time. At least to start the year, I'm with you. I don't think we're going to see too much of him. Mm-hmm. Now, in lineups with VJ and like JB and some of the better defenders, I definitely think Phylon could work. You could argue that if they don't have LeBron on the floor, he's their next best passer and playmaker.
Yeah.
So I think there will be lineups where I would like to see LeBaron Phylon, but I think that's going to be a slow process.
Yeah.
Of note, you said 8 or 9 man rotation, in which case you got Bona, you have Wade, you have KCP, you have Simons. I don't know where you're putting Barlow into that equation, Lucas. Going back to your prior point.
I have.
Unless you're saying Barlow is the backup 5.
Okay,
which is different than our conversation.
Well, I mean, I was thinking Barlow. I was thinking of a 5-man bench crew. So Barlow probably is the odd man out. If you're thinking of 9-man rotation, Barlow is probably out.
I agree. I think he's probably the 10th man right now.
Yeah,
he will play in the regular season.
I'm sure there will be matchups where they'll throw him in.
Yeah, they're gonna play him. I think Nick Nurse likes him. He was very good for us for most of this past season, so I think he's earned the chance to play. Last question here, Lucas. Says Kentavious Caldwell-Pope banish Justin Edwards to the end of the bench?
it really depends on if KCP has a 3-point shot back, right? If he doesn't, well, you can have a conversation. But if he does, bye Justin. I mean, look, I liked the story of Justin. I still think he has potential. I think Justin goes as far as his head will let him go. I think that most of his deficiencies are mentally based in terms of, because I feel like he overthinks the game. Like when you watch him play, it feels like he overthinks the game sometimes, and I think that's his biggest downfall. So, I mean, look, it would be great if Justin comes in, and because like he has the potential to be like a solid like two-way guy coming off the bench, but can he get his head right? Can he be in the right headspace to do that? You got a lot of mentors on this team that can help him get there. But for now, you got to go with KCP, at least to begin the season, see if KCP still has it after being stuck on 2 bad teams back.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, KCP has quite a bit to prove after the last couple of years, to be frank.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to get the minutes early, at least. They're going to put him out there. He's like a clutch guy. He's a LeBron guy, and he's a veteran, which, Nick Nurse likes. Nick Nurse, I also believe, is a clutch guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, yeah. They're all clutch.
Yeah. I think there's a world in which Justin Edwards is a better player this year if he takes, a leap. But he wasn't very good last year outside of like 3 games where he got hot. So I don't think we're going to see much of him early in the year. We'll see. We can kind of wrap it up here, move towards around the NBA, Lucas. Of note, we got some photos today from Chris Johnson, who's a basketball trainer, of Jaylen Brown in the gym working out with LeBron and Maxey.
Oh, I didn't see those.
Real, I can't believe this is my life vibes. It's just an insane that this is happening.
How did I not see this?
Yeah, so very cool. They all look to be in very good shape. And as one of my co-workers, Zach, pointed out, Jaylen Brown was wearing green shoes, which he thought was funny. But
well, maybe the guy just hasn't. Look, maybe the guy just hasn't had a chance to buy new shoes.
He's not going to throw away all his shoes. He's got, he's not like he's wearing a Celtics jersey. All right. Around the NBA, Lucas, let's start with the Peyton Watson trade. He is going to Cleveland on a 4-year, $88 million contract. Max Strus is going to LA. The Nuggets are getting a first-round pick and a second-round pick. Cam Whitmore is also going to Cleveland. Trey Mann is going to Washington. Became kind of a convoluted trade. But we can focus on the Peyton Watson of it all. How do you feel about 4 years, $88 million? That's $22 million a year for a guy who's had about 1 really good month in the NBA.
Cleveland's desperate, man. I mean, that's the honest truth. But I mean, so in theory, he does make sense for them because he can be that perimeter defensive guy that they need. He can create a little bit of his offense, decent 3-point shooter. Can he thrive in that system? I don't know. That's the thing. We don't see too many guys leave. I mean, I guess technically, Michael Porter Jr. did really good, leaving Denver for the Nets, at least statistically. So we will see. I don't think his ideal spot would become a 5th starter, but at the same time, I mean, he, like you said, he only had limited success. So, I mean, cashing in a month of success for that, that much, kudos to you.
Yeah. Look, I think it makes sense. I'm not really worried about giving up a first-round pick. I think that's reasonable. I do think $88 million feels like a lot for someone with not so much of a track record, though it is like worth reminding folks that with where the cap is in the NBA nowadays, guys are getting $70 million max contracts. Like $22 million a year really isn't that much. It's not as much as it used to be like 5-10 years ago. But
22 million is like 14 million 10 years ago.
Yeah, so it's not a crazy deal by any means. And look, Cleveland really needed some wing depth. That's been a real weakness for them. Peyton Watson can really defend. I think him, Mobley, and Allen together is a pretty sick defensive trio. So I understand the fit, and Cleveland had to do something. It's been such a quiet offseason for them. Obviously, they wanted it to be LeBron in that spot, but I don't think this is a bad pivot. I think it's a reasonable gamble with how stacked the East is. Like you had to
It's
do
probably the
something.
best gamble they could do because you don't
Yeah.
trust Jonathan Kuminga, you don't trust DeMar DeRozan.
No, yeah, this is so much better than either of those outcomes, I think.
Yeah.
So,
in terms of fit of what they needed, this makes much more sense.
And look,
because they didn't need any more offense; they needed defense.
No, and look, Peyton Watson can score a bit too. So I think it's a good fit. Notably, the rumblings around DeMar DeRozan are now pointing in the direction of Denver, Lucas. That seems to be on the table. The Nuggets have lost, Michael Porter Jr. last offseason. They trade Peyton Watson out now. They're trying to get rid of Cam Johnson. Maybe, maybe not. Doesn't seem like they're going to get rid of him.
It's going to be hard to get rid of him right now.
I really think Denver regrets that Christian Braun contract. That was a real
absolutely
misstep. But DeMar DeRozan in Denver, how would you feel about that potentially?
I don't like it. I mean, even if he comes off the bench, I don't think he fits that. I think he's always a go-to scorer. Honestly, even if regardless if he came off the bench or starting, I think Detroit would be the best spot for him. I think they need a secondary guy there.
Yeah. I would agree that Detroit makes more sense. I'm kind of low on DeRozan as like a guy who's going to help you compete for a championship.
Well, I mean, look. They need bench scoring. If nothing else, a contender could use him as a bench scorer.
Yeah, he can be a good bench piece. I would caution anyone thinking he's more than that at this point. Denver does seem like kind of an awkward fit. I think Jokic makes everyone better. Jokic and Westbrook got along really well in their brief time together and had some real synergy as like a guy who doesn't really shoot and likes the ball a lot. So
but Westbrook was
similar.
But Westbrook was such a better playmaker than DeMar is, and
I don't know if that's necessary. Like DeMar's a pretty good passer.
DeMar's really good passer, but sense. Like
Westbrook passed a lot. He wasn't like a cerebral setup man though.
But he did make Jokic's offensive buckets look a lot easier. We can agree on that. That he was the first guy that actually set up Jokic on a regular basis. Because Jamal doesn't do it.
I don't. Well, that's not true. But
Jamal's more of a shooting guard. He just masquerades as a point guard.
Yeah, look, I don't think Westbrook is really all that in Denver, but
we'll get to Westbrook in a minute. We're gonna get to him.
We can get to him now, but I think DeMar to Denver would be fine. I would just caution anyone against thinking it's like a significant.
He's not gonna
needle
start.
Mover.
He's not gonna start.
Yeah, it's like just kind of a marginal move at this point. All right, Westbrook has retired. Lucas, what are your thoughts?
Sad,
mm-hmm.
But I've always been a fan of the Brody. I've always have been. I know that he's a terrible shooter. Whatever. He's not. He doesn't always make the best decisions. Sure, whatever. He plays hard. He's underrated, honestly. The best athletic point guard in NBA history. I will say that right now. Triple-double king for the moment. Maybe Jokic probably catches him, but still, Jokic has to get like almost 20 more, I think, something like that. 17, 18 more, something like that. So has to get it. But I just think, I thought he still had more in the tank, and maybe he does physically, but I think that what he wanted from his career at this point and what the NBA was offering for his career at this point in his career did not align, and I guess he was just willing to walk away from that.
Because
I know that
like his options were either to be the backup to Darius Acuff in Sacramento or the backup to Trae Young in Washington.
See, I would have said Washington makes more sense, because do you honestly think Trae Young is going to be healthy for the whole entire season? No. Westbrook, you would have still been the starter. And look, Washington was his last real successful team that he was like a star on.
Yeah, that's
before
fair.
The Sixers spanked him, but that's not the point.
I don't know if I want Trae Young and Russell Westbrook taking all of my point guard minutes.
Well, I don't know. Well, okay, let's look at their other. They don't really have Bud Carrington. I'm not sure is a point guard, and did not look good last year. So, like, what's your other option besides Bud?
I would argue that developing Bob Carrington is probably more productive for your future than.
But they're not trying to develop players right now. They're trying to
get
a play. They're trying to get into play.
They're not trying to win the finals, though. They're trying to develop players and make the playoffs. They got to think long and short term here. They're not all in.
Like so the other option is Trey Mann, who's really just a scoring guard at 6'1", and that's it. That's
Trey
your point
Mann
guard.
Was just
just acquired. Yeah.
So I think that's a better option than Russ, to be frank. But
you think Trey Mann's a better? Okay, disrespect.
Yeah, Russ was not very good last year, guys. Let's be honest.
He was stuck on the Kings. Who looked good on the Kings last year? Nobody. Nobody looked good on the Kings.
Sure, but he hasn't looked. Russ has been kind of a negative player for a few years now. But anyways, I love Russ. He's awesome. I don't want to sit here and trash Rush.
You are though. He's
a great player. Obviously
first
going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
first ballot. Should he have won that MVP award over James Harden?
Oh my gosh, we're not doing this again, are
Probably
we, Chris?
Not, but that's okay. I much respect.
Look,
I respect.
If you average a triple-double in a season, you should win MVP. That's my thing.
Is that in the rule book? I haven't read that section.
It's in the Lucas rule book. Okay.
Okay.
It should be in.
All right.
Yeah. Look, I don't think anybody's mad. There would have been just as many people mad if Russ didn't win it versus that he won it. It just would have been flip-flopped. Okay. And I get it. James had a great year.
Yeah.
I get it. Look, I just think that it was the first time since who was it? Oscar Robinson to average a triple-double. And this is post KD, after KD abandoned him in the Thunder, and he was able to will that team to the playoffs. Like, come on, Chris. The story was there. The story was there, okay?
Now, whether or not it should be a story-based award is the question.
Hey,
you're right.
You know that narratives are a big part of MVP. You know that. I know that.
They are. Should they be is the question. But
look, narratives probably cost Joel 1 or 2 MVPs as well. So
that's not true. Narrative is the only reason he has one MVP. To be completely honest, as the world's #1 Joel Embiid fan.
Nah, he deserved
the only reason he has an MVP is narrative.
He was on his way to 2 before Jonathan Kuminga.
That's different, yeah. But look, shout out to Russ. He was awesome.
Yeah.
Much respect.
Besides that, I don't know if there's anything else really. Hang on, let me do. Kawhi Leonard. The first part of this investigation of the Raptors, they were not found. Basically NBA lacks proof that Ballmer paid via the.
Are you good at reading the ESPN report?
I skimmed it. I did not read
the
fully.
NBA came out and was like, that's not true.
So we don't know. We don't know what's going on.
I think it's pretty clear at this point. We don't know for sure. Definitely seems like the Clippers very obviously circumvented the cap, and they might let Steve Ballmer off scot-free because it's a corrupt business. But seems like Kawhi will end up in Toronto one way or another. I still think that's going to happen.
And then the Lakers are also a mess right now too with the Buss family.
Yep. Sold. I think we did we mention that last?
No, it happened. It happened after. Yeah, happened the day after.
Yeah, I think we talked about it, but I could be wrong. I feel like I remember us talking about it, but yeah. We'll see what happens with the Dodgers. That's the real storyline now.
Because if he sells them, then he's probably going to jail.
Yeah, well, yeah. Plus, I just want the Dodgers to lose, honestly. That's another pod somewhere else that I'm not part of, though. As always, everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Sixer Sense podcast. Like, subscribe, follow along if you can. We are on Twitter at Sixer Sense. You can find the pod on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Drop a comment, leave a review if you're on Spotify or Apple. You can follow us on TikTok at The Sixer Sense. If you want to find me and Lucas on Twitter, I'm kind of doing these out of order. I'm at Kline NBA on Twitter. Lucas is at CoachJ_20. And until next time, trust the process, throw the ball up, etc., etc. We'll chat soon. We'll have I think a pretty big episode next week if all goes to plan. So
it almost happened this week, but life happened. So
stay tuned is what I'll say. Peace out, y'all.
Deuces.